Hey, I want to talk to you about something called difference tones. It's also called heterodyne or heterodyning or undertones. I've heard it being called that. That it's basically beat frequencies that are sped up to human hearing level, hearing as pitch. So beat frequencies are basically when you have two frequencies and they're kind of close together, you hear the phase canceling. The wave of one of them and the wave of the other one cancels out every once in a while. And you can actually calculate how fast those beat frequencies occur. So say you do this. Say you have A440, which is this note right here. And this note right here, which is G392. The difference is 48. So now that's fast enough. It's too fast to hear it as a beat, but it's fast enough now to hear it as a pitch, which is really close to an octave below G, which is 49. 48 is dang close to 49. You can hear that low G. Can you hear that? Now, if I turned off the distortion, by the way, I'm using this Landgraf Mode Distortion, MOD. It's a really cool pedal. You can also, this heterodyning or this beat frequencies or the difference tones are also exaggerated with a fuzz pedal. So I can try this one. I have this Jackson Audio Fuzz. And here, let's see what it sounds like with a fuzz. Or actually without it. Without it, you just hear, you just hear it as a whole step, right? A and G. But if I turn on the fuzz, it exaggerates the beat frequencies. Now you can hear that low G. If I do the A and the G up an octave like this, you literally hear that G. Now, you notice how this, when it was here, it was 48, but G is 49, so it's actually flat. I can tune that difference tone by increasing the distance between those two. So if the note is flat, if the difference tone is flat, then I have to increase the distance between those two pitches to raise the difference tone. So I can do this, you know. So you see how just a tiny bit of bending the upper string will drastically raise the pitch of the lower string. It's way more. You know, I can just raise it just a quarter tone. And it does that. And vice versa. I can bend the lower one and I'm actually decreasing the distance between those pitches, and I'm going to send that difference tone flat. Check it out. Now, I can decrease it enough to where you can hear the beats again. It's fascinating, right? So you can actually hear it going from tempo to pitch. Let's see what it sounds like with distortion. I like it. And you can actually do some, you know, play some tunes with it. I'll try it again. That's this. It's my Sharona. Psycho style. Yeah, don't do that on... you'll lose your gig if you do that. Guaranteed. Your wife will also tell you to shut up. All right. So let me tell you a practical use for this. If you are aware of these difference tones, especially when you're playing fuzz and distortion. Side note, I always thought people who knew how to play fuzz and distortion right, it's like their tone was just so awesome. And sometimes I had a problem with playing with fuzz because I like to play a lot of chords, you know, sustaining a lot of chords, and that just becomes a big fat soupy mess when you're playing with fuzz. So I've discovered since then, like some of my, you know, guys who really know how to play fuzz, like Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top, Mike Landau. I consider like tone guys. Even Eddie Van Halen, like he knows how to play chords like in tune with like wrangling that massive tone. And it's like you got to manhandle the instrument a certain way to get that stuff in tune. And I've been having a great time calculating all these difference tones. You're gonna get a kick out of this. Look at this. I went ahead and calculated a bunch of them. Okay, so this top line right here, I'll explain all these color codes and everything. So if I have this pitch right here, well, no, that's not an interactive one. Anyway, if I want to generate bass notes based on this note, this is 880, okay? This is 220, 440, 880, right? So octaves are doubled. The frequency is doubled. Okay. So a half step generates an octave below G. So what you have is that you have an A, a G sharp, and a G. You have two half steps in a row. That's pretty dissonant, and it's so spread out though. Now, a whole step generates that note. So it's kind of like a G2, you know, G add 2, you know, there's nothing else going on. It's just a whole step, but the G is doubled, so. Now, if I go to a minor third, check this out. This is what's generated now. See if you can tell. This is actually it generates a low C sharp. So I've got A and F sharp and C sharp. You know what chord that is? It's a F sharp minor over C sharp, which is a second inversion minor triad. We play it again. It's very spread out. So we got this one. Now if you see here on this chart here, the tone that is generated, so the difference between 880 and what was it? F sharp 739.99. The difference between those two. So yeah, I don't know if I explained this. To calculate the difference tone, you do the highest note, the frequency of the highest note, minus the frequency of the lower note. And it's just like simple math, you know. A minus F sharp. Okay, that pitch. 880 minus 739.99. That's 140.01. Now that is pretty close to a C sharp. If I scroll down here to see what 140 is close to, you can see here it is really close to a C sharp, but it's sharp. C sharp is 138.59. So what I need to do is I need to decrease the distance between those two pitches. You remember how I do this? So if you bend the lower one, the lower pitch, you're sending the difference tone down because you're decreasing the distance between the two pitches. Now, 140 is a little bit too sharp, so I'm just going to tweak just the bottom a little bit to get that C sharp in tune. Does that make sense? So I'm actually like finessing the pitch just a little bit so that the fuzz and the distortion actually sounds tolerable. Now sometimes, like, you know, the tendency is like, oh, you're using vibrato just to, like, I'm trying to find it, you know, and that's sort of what we do as guitar players. And then after the minor third comes the major third. Now, what's that interval? That interval is, this is the one that's very interesting. You can see what's generated here is 181.54, which is actually 1/3 of the way below a G flat. So I need to raise the upper pitch just a little bit to match a G flat in the bass. It's actually this one right here. Now what that is this chord. It's a G flat diminished major 7. Actually it's a minor major 7 shell voicing is what it is. There's no fifth in it, so I'm not quite giving you enough information to know whether it's a minor major 7 or a diminished major 7, but there's reasons to believe that there's a flat 5 implied, and I'll talk about that later. But let's just say diminished major 7. What's interesting about it is, since we're so flat here, I could go the other way too, and I could just say it's sharp, and I could bend this other one. Here's what happens. Now it becomes an F major triad. So what was this? No, where's the upper? Either one kind of works. And then the next interval is the perfect fourth. And what that's generating is that A right there. So it's like a power chord, but the root is like separated by an octave. So there's a power chord here, but it's an octave down. And then we have a tritone. And the tritone, what's interesting is the tritone generates a difference tone that's slightly flat. So I have to, but anyway, if the bass note or difference tone is flat, increase the distance by bending the higher string up and or detuning the lower string. Like if you're playing with slide, you can kind of do a diagonal, or vice versa. You know, if the bass note is sharp, decrease the distance by bending the lower string up or detuning the higher string. What's interesting about the detuning the higher string is that's what Eddie Van Halen does. Like if I play a major triad, it sounds a little crispy. If I detune the B string 13 or 14 cents flat. All right, check this out now. Here's a major triad with the B string lowered. It's very smooth sounding. You don't hear like crispiness or waves or, you know, beats. But now the fifth is out of tune. But I can bend that a little easier than I can't bend the third flat, so I can bend the fifth sharp though. Yeah, also, you know, rat. Hey. I need to learn more rat riffs. They're cool. Let me tune this B back up to pitch. All right, so now, what did we do? Oh, I got distracted by this tritone. So it's a little, I have to bend the upper one a little bit higher because the tritone is flat. Just a little bit. And what's going to be generated is this low C. So check it out. Can you hear the C? Oh. Can you hear it? Do you see it? What that is now is an A diminished triad in first inversion. It also looks like a C minor 6, but no fifth. what's next is a perfect fifth. Now what's generated now is a D. It's really, really close. What's interesting, look at this. This is a whole nother subject here, but the difference tone that is generated is 292.67, which is a D4. You sunk my battleship. Look how close it is. D4 is 293.66. It's like 1 hertz off. A hertz donut. So so fourths and fifths are actually really close, but they're not perfect. That's something related to something called a comma. Now, comma, there's different kinds of commas. There's Pythagorean comma. Anyway, it's like when you stack a bunch of intervals and you're supposed to get the same pitch, but you don't. It's like a little bit off. So equal temperament kind of like makes it all perfect, sort of, but it doesn't sound. You don't get the just intonated intervals. Anyway, there's this whole rabbit hole of temperament and intonation is very fascinating. It can get impractical real quick, but suffice it to say, just use your ear, mess with the notes. Here, let's do some more. After the perfect fifth, which is really dang close, the power chord, right? And then we have that. It's a little honky sounding. It's because it's flat. I'm going to bend the upper one up. Now what you get is an A triad with an E in the bass. So second inversion, A major triad. And then this one, it's sharp, so I'm going to bend the lower one up, and it becomes an F major triad. I have a C and an A, and it generates the root for me. You hear that? Cool, right? Again, this is the secret to playing with fuzz, is like listen for the intonation. Okay, then you have a ninth, or sorry, a flat seven. And what that's going to generate is this G. Actually, it's going to generate this G. This is interesting. All right, so here's another weird phenomenon. I should explain that I'm playing these two notes, right? But the notes are playing another note. Happens to be playing this note. But you hear another one. You hear something lower than this one, don't you? That's because what's going on is now the difference tone is reacting to this note and creating another pitch. So it's like a sort of a cascading effect. Whenever you're kind of playing these difference tones kind of up high with high difference tones, it gives the opportunity to create another difference tone that you can actually hear. So there's this. There's an A. Yeah, see if you can hear an A. I'm just going to do this. Can you hear that low A now? That's because what I'm generating is this, and then the difference tone is creating another difference tone. It's crazy, right? It's just wild. Anyway. And then what is that? That's a super low G. All right, so what do we have? When all the notes have A on the top, all together, I'll play those chords. I have them written out here. How about this? I'm gonna avoid the half step guys. I'll just start from the whole step, which is a G2, and then F sharp minor over C sharp, and then F sharp diminished major 7 to A power chord, then A diminished over C, D5, A over E, and then F, and then finish with G2. So those are chords that are like naturally generated by this. Sorry, I missed that one. Now I just thought, hey, what happens if I want to just generate the same bass note over and over again, this low E? What do I have to play up high to generate those, to generate an E? So here's what you do. I've got them written out here. It's all highlighted here. Check this out. So here is E. It's 82.41, this one. Actually, let me tune up a little bit. Yeah, when I heard like Billy Gibbons doing such a thick sound, you know. Like fourths and fifths sounds really cool with the fuzz, you know. I think add 2 chords. It would work too now. And if I can play major thirds if I bend up the lower one. Anyway, so if I want to generate this low E, here's what I do. I can't generate it with a half step unless it's super duper duper high. But what I can do is this and this, a whole step, F sharp and E. You hear that low E? Without it? With the distortion? Or with fuzz? Let's see if it's any different. Bend it just a little bit. So I bend the lower one, sends the bass note down. If I bend the upper one, it sends the bass note up. Go back to distortion. Now, if I want to generate a low E with a minor third interval, I have to go down to here. So C and A. And this one is sharp, so I gotta bend the lower one up. So I have this A minor over E. And then I can go down to here for the major third. It's gonna be D sharp and G for the diminished major 7 or the minor major 7 shell voicing. What's cool about it is I can bend the upper one to get the E in tune, or I can go up here to E and G sharp and bend the lower one to get the E in tune. Here, I'll listen for the E. Now, if I don't bend at all, they both sound out of tune. So I've got to just finesse it, just, you know. What does that sound like? It sounds like blues, doesn't it? little distraction there. And then after the major third, then I can do the perfect fourth. That one, that'll just generate power chord with a lower bass note. It's Time to Burn by Giant. Dan Huff is one of my favorite guitar players. Anyway, okay, so after the perfect fourth, I'm going to go down to a tritone. And if I want to generate this low E, I have to go to G and C sharp. And it's a little bit flat, so I got to raise the higher one. Now we're getting kind of muddy. You see it now that if I'm playing these pitches down low, there's a lot of stuff in the lower register. So what I can do is I can go up to the upper register. Now it's a little clearer. You just are running into the danger of creating an additional difference tone. This one's pretty safe though. It's pretty clean. Now that one sounds like blues too, doesn't it? Alright, so after the tritone, then it's going to go down to the perfect fifth, and the one I can generate with the perfect fifth I can generate the low E with. So that's just and then after that, the minor sixth, I have to go over here to A and C sharp. How about that? So that's going to generate this low E right here. That's real muddy. So I'm going to take those up an octave. Now, if you look here, I have it listed as this minor six is sharp. Sorry, flat. So I got to raise the upper one. Now, I think the guitar players that I've heard that are really good at fuzz, I bet they just stood around as kids just really playing with an amp real loud and just kind of finessing what it sounds like and getting it in tune. This is not stuff that you can get from a book or by calculating. You really have to just experience it in order for it to become intuitive. I can tell you like, oh, it's flat, you have to bend the upper one. It's like, yeah, I guess, but it's better to just feel it, I guess, but it's neat to explain why we're hearing what we're hearing, and I don't know, this sort of science behind it. It's math, really, It might disappoint some of you to think that you can math blues. It seems real counterintuitive that you can get so nerdy with it, but there it is. You've been watching so far, so you must not hate it. Okay, and then we go to this one, and it's really crunchy sounding. So I'm gonna bend the lower one up. I can also do this one and bend the upper one. This is one where if I was playing with a slide, I would be diagonally this way on the lower one, and then diagonally this way on the upper one. Does that make sense? I wonder if I could. Let's see if I should have a slide handy, but I don't. Apple makes a terrible slide. remind you of? Hendrix, yeah. Now you can just, you know, shake it to like, oh, I kind of want to get it in tune. You know? I guess it's too boring if it's. Man, don't you keyboard players have guitar envy right now? Yeah, guitar is cool. We can do that. Unless you're Bobby Sparks. Bobby Sparks has a whammy bar in his keyboard. So he's cool. He likes to play Hendrix. So that's probably why he knows about finessing the pitch. Great musician. All right, so, and then the flat 7, that one, it's a little flat, so I'm gonna bend the upper one. That's an E2. There's no fifth, it's just. All right, so I wrote a tune that has all that stuff in it. It has this. And then it goes to the E, well, actually it starts with the E stuff, you know. You want to hear it? Here it goes. Should I solo on it? I guess I could try. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Check this out. Check this out. So, make a big deal out of this. All right, one of these days I'm going to get good at playing fuzz. But anyway, I have the calculations to get going. Okay, enjoy that. If anyone, likes it, let me know. If you hate it, sorry.